Hey, this is V. I'm just loading this video for all the people who complain about Mike Bourke in the Sheerdog forums. People who said he was shit. You're not paying attention. Look at Mike Bourke's early career before he is judged by anyone. King of the Cage 1. He talks a really big interview up, talking himself up in that big pre-match interview about how he's 3-0 and whipped everyone's ass who got in his way. But Mike, he had to do that. He felt like he had to do that to excite the fans. Trash talk is not always needed, but sometimes people feel like it. People like the trash talk as much as the respectful fighters. Mike chose to go with disrespectful in that case. Doesn't matter who it is, and I'll wait about with whoever gets in my way. Turns out Steve Treadwell knocks him out in 8 seconds. Mike does land one low kick, and Mike then lands on the ground after Treadwell punches him in the side of the jaw, or in the side of the head, or high on the jaw. Ending of King of the Cage 1. Treadwell wins the super heavyweight title. King of the Cage 3 comes around, though. Mike Bourke rematches Treadwell. Mike's talking a more soft approach. He just tells the interviewer, I always train strong, I train hard, and, well, it's the same as usual, just shit happens. Mike ends up beating Steve Treadwell with punches on the ground. Treadwell retires after that, so Mike Bourke retired him. Treadwell went with 2 straight losses. Lost to John Matua at King of the Cage 2, and then lost the rematch to Mike Bourke. One retirement under Mike Bourke's belt. Then for King of the Cage 3, Then for King of the Cage 5, Mike Bourke fights John Matua. Again with his powerful punches. There's a slow ground and pound that happens. Mike's outweighed by 148 pounds, 275 versus 423. Mike's the 275, and he manages to beat John Matua, an old Tank Abbott victim, in about 5 minutes. He lands his punch from the standing position, and Bourke, he ends up winning the super heavyweight title because Matua cannot answer the bell, and his eye is bleeding. Turns out he had a fractured orbital bone. In other words, Mike punched him so hard in the eye that a bone broke. Then at King of the Cage 10, Mike Bourke, Rhino Rhino fights 6'7", 278-pound Eric Kleeper, who's mostly a Muay Thai fighter with some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Early on, Mike gets caught in a guillotine choke, but he fights off the cage and pushes his way out of it after 4 seconds. Then he takes Kleeper in a double leg takedown. Executed real well, double leg takedown. Landed some punches on the ground. A huge flurry of them. Kleeper taps in 1 minute 5 seconds, or 1 minute 6 seconds. King of the Cage 10 ends with Mike winning that first round. He said he had been training with a heavy ball, a medicine ball for your abs, and he just beat on it with punches for half an hour at a time a day. And that was part of Mike's training, and it sounds like bad training, but obviously it worked. For whatever reason, Eric Kleeper wants a rematch at King of the Cage, Gladiator Challenge 8, subtitled Schoolyard Brawls. So Mike gives him a rematch. Eric Kleeper is about 8 pounds lighter for the rematch, but Mike's at the same weight. It didn't matter because Mike kept it standing longer, and he was able to land his own punches on Kleeper, and in this case he still got the win, but he got it from a standing position. He landed a right hook on the side of Kleeper's face, Referee had to stop it in this case. No tapping this time. Referee stops it. TKO for Mike Bourke. Then finally, years later, Rhino meets Ken Shamrock. Not a down point in Ken's career, but still a win is a win. Kleeper, damn it, I keep mentioning fucking past opponents. Shit. It's like Shamrock, he lands a punch that knocks Mike down, but he hurt his knee while just trying to walk forward or run forward. Shamrock hurt his knee, so he's unable to move at that point. And then Mike sees this, takes advantage of the weakness, and takes him to the ground. And Mike he starts ground and pounding Ken. Shamrock punches into the face and the side of the head. And again, Mike Bourke, he comes out victorious. And it was his birthday that day too, in November. I think it was early November, 2010. Mike Bourke, I mean, he's not the greatest fighter, but the guy is a true powerhouse. You can look at that guy, and there's technique. There's some technique and there's skill involved in what he does. He wasn't somebody who just walked in the cage like a street fighter and did it. He was, in some ways, you could maybe compare him to like a smaller Tank Abbott, smaller level, that is. But ultimately, Mike Bourke, he's not a loser. Mike Bourke was a winner. Former super heavyweight champion in KOTC. Retired 3 or 4 fighters. Mike was not some joke. If anyone was punched by him in the face or the body, they felt it. You don't win a title just because you're a talentless fighter. People on the shootout forums would always shit on Mike Bourke, but no, he's got talent. Ask Alan Zunner, who he beat with a forearm choke in about 1 minute and 4 seconds. You would talk, like again, so talk to Alan Zunner, talk to Ken Shamrock, talk to John Matua, talk to Eric Kleeper, and especially talk to Steve Treadwell. Mike Bourke ended them all. The Rhino, he's not somebody you should fuck with. That's somebody you should underrate.